Hey there, Mr. Pacific.
Hi Fernando, how's it going?
Not so good.
Well, before we start, I need to tell you about confidentiality and mandatory reporting. Everything you tell me is only between us. I will not go tell anyone anything you say. However, there are some times I will need to go find us some support. Some of those times are, if you tell me that you are going to hurt yourself or someone else, or that someone is hurting you. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
So tell me, Fernando, what's not been going so well for you?
Well, I've been having a hard time concentrating in class. Well, I don't know how to say it, but I'm like gay. And for the first time ever, I've been sleeping with this other guy from math class.
Oh, really? I'm glad you felt comfortable enough to share that with me. I know this time is hard on many students, and I'm glad you feel safe enough to talk about it with me. But, I have a question. You mentioned that you've been sexually active. Are you being safe?
Well, not really. I heard that condoms don't feel good. But I want to. Do you have any I can have? Oh, also I actually have a question about that. Are they really safer?
What should I do? There are some real concerns that need to be addressed. The student has some real misinformation about sexual health, and as a school psychologist I have a responsibility to protect him from harm. I wonder, what would Dr. Ethics say about this?
So we have got an interesting dilemma here, Dr. Ethics.
We do indeed, Ms. Franklin. Let's go over some of the ethical and legal issues for our audience.
Well, the student is participating in unsafe and dangerous behaviors. The CDC has reported that men who have sex with men accounted for 71% of all HIV infections among male adults and adolescents in 2005. If Fernando does not get the correct information, he will continue to be at high risk for AIDS and other STIs.
Well, that is true, and NASP does support comprehensive sexual education. However, it really comes down to the parents. Parents have the ultimate say on what information their child receives, and Mr. Pacific may be stepping out of his role if he does not have their consent. Let's see what he does.
Option 1, I could not give the student any information. His parents may not want their child to have access to information about sexuality that they have not approved. Additionally, I might be infringing on their rights as parents. Fernando, I can't give you any information without your parents' consent.
Man, that's stupid. They don't tell me anything about sex. I can't believe you're just like the other adults. You just rather not talk about it, whatever, man. I'm out of here.
That didn't go so well. Good thing there are other options. Let's try another. Option 2, I correct his misinformation and advise the student about Planned Parenthood. Fernando, well, I can see you're interested in sexual health information. I really can't go into detail, but research has shown that there is not a real difference in sensation when using condoms. You know, I have a brochure about Planned Parenthood. They have way better information than I can give you. You should go check them out after school. I'll give you their info before you leave.
All right, I'll do that, thanks. Well, you know, there is actually something else going on. Well, like I told you, that I've been sleeping with this guy lately. Well, some other guy at school found out. And he has been giving me a hard time about it.
Really? I'm sorry that you're in that situation. No student should feel unsafe in school.
Yeah. I don't know what to do. I'm not ready to come out to anyone else, like I'm not really sure if I'm like 100% gay, or what. This kid wants me to do his homework, or he will tell people I'm gay.
What should I do? There are some real concerns that need to be addressed. Every student should have free and equal access to education. Harassment for LGBTQI youth is very common. I wonder what Dr. Ethics would say about this.
So we have got another interesting dilemma here, Dr. Ethics.
We do indeed, Ms. Franklin. Let's go over some of the ethical and legal issues in this situation.
Well, first of all, a school psychologist has a responsibility to report any abuse in order to protect the student.
On the other hand, in this case reporting the abuse would likely lead to outing the student, which could have serious implications for the student's well-being.
That's correct, but this case is interesting, because, from what I heard so far from the student, this alone may not qualify as abuse, but it is something that must be addressed.
Yes, this is very similar to situations where a student is being bullied. And Mr. Pacific will be remiss to not bring this to light.
Don't LGBTQI youth have higher rates of harassment and negative outcomes due to harassment in schools?
That's correct. Let's look at some of the facts. Up to 20% of today's youth report having had a same-sex relationship. Nationwide, more than 3/4 of LGBTQI youth report being verbally harassed at school due to their sexual orientation. And 30% report being physically harassed.
That could be a real problem for Mr. Pacific's student.
Right, and it's not just from peers. 23% of sexual minority youth report hearing a teacher or administrator making derogatory remarks.
Wow, really? That's terrible. Are there some ethical guidelines or standards Mr. Pacific can rely on to help with his decision?
Indeed. The NASP Conduct Manual is very clear in stating that school psychologists should respect all persons and be sensitive to sexual orientation, engage only in professional practices that maintain the dignity of children, and do not engage in or condone practices that discriminate against children based on sexual orientation.
Good points. So, Mr. Pacific, does this help you come to a decision?
Yes, that was helpful. Thanks you, Dr. Ethics. Taking what we just heard from Dr. Ethics, it seems that the best option is to inform the administration about this, but I must be really cognizant of what the implications are for the student. If the other student outs Fernando in retaliation, Fernando will be forced to cope with the coming out process, even if he is not ready to do so. I need to have a contingency plan and reassure Fernando that the benefits outweigh the costs. Well, Fernando, this is one of those situations I told you about earlier, that we will need to get some outside help on.
No, wait, you can't tell anyone. Other kids will find out.
I know that this is a hard position to be in, and that you don't want people to know that you are gay, but I want you to know that I will be here to support you through this process. We can try our best to minimize other students finding out, but you need to know that what this student is doing is not okay. And my job is to protect you.
I don't know about this, but I guess this does make sense. I don't want to be doing his homework the whole time we are in high school.
That's right, and you know sometimes these types of behaviors escalate to something much more severe. And again, I want to thank you for being so open with me. Well, I understand that this is a fake scenario and a situation as such does not usually get resolved in 7 minutes. As a school psychologist, we must be aware of national and local laws, and abide by the ethical standards from APA and NASP. When working with LGBTQI youth, it's important to consider aspects of their life that are unique to that community. Using the 8-step problem-solving model is a great way to facilitate your decision. Thank you.